Coming from CNBC, NVIDIA says its forecast for $200 billion CPU market includes China. So I kind of think this is an interesting story with NVIDIA being in the middle of the US-China AI war. And what happened? What happens when you're a little CEO of a little company simply trying to pay the bills and increase your stock price, and your government literally says you can't sell products to the most valuable market in the world, right? I think there is an interesting question there, especially for a lot of technology companies, with the whole question of, well, if I can't sell them that, can I sell them this? So when we take a look at NVIDIA, right, when we talk about NVIDIA, most of the time we're talking about GPUs, whether it's GPUs for gaming, whether it's GPUs for cryptocurrency, these Blackwell GPUs and the whole nine yards. One of the things that gets left out of the conversation is that they actually do build a hell of a lot of other hardware. One of the things I've talked about before is that when you buy into NVIDIA, you get the entire NVIDIA stack. It's not just the GPUs and the CUDA framework for being able to code for the GPUs, but they sell servers, they sell networking equipment, and they sell a whole bunch of other things that kind of just get left out of the conversation because, when you're selling GPUs for $40,000 a piece, people pay a lot more attention to that than the switches or whatever that you're selling. So one of the curious things with NVIDIA is that they are going into the CPU market. Since they're already making GPUs, they have this idea, let's produce CPUs too, the central processing units. And one of the things that they're thinking with that is that they should be able to sell that into China, right? At this point in time, it's 2026, CPUs are CPUs. It should not be a national security concern to sell them CPUs. But, who knows with whatever administration is currently in the office. And so they are looking at trying to sell CPUs. One of the things with this too is you might be looking at this and saying, well, if they're already selling GPUs and the profit margin for GPUs are so high, why are they bothering with CPUs? And basically the idea is so that they can own more of the hardware stack. And also with artificial intelligence, one of the things I've been talking about a lot is that we have been hyper-focusing on GPUs for the past couple of years. But when you start designing and building out artificial intelligence systems, you actually need a whole bunch of other hardware. I've talked about this with things like caching mechanisms. So a caching mechanism is where you make a request to your LLM, to your model. The model then provides a response back. The thing is when you interact with a model, that is literally the most resource-intensive task you can almost ever use on a computer, right? I have an M5 MacBook Pro sitting right over there. When I run GPT OSS, the 120 billion parameter model on that, I get about 79 tokens per second. The issue is you literally hear coil whine. At first, I thought my brand new computer was broken. It's not broken. It's just literally pulling so much power. You get this thing called coil whine because you're going, right? Because you're basically, putting the resources balls to the wall, as they say. So one of the things that you can do if you're trying to, optimize for resource consumption, one of those things technology professionals used to do is you can do caching, right? So if you have numerous users on your platform, the reality is a lot of them are going to be asking the exact same question. So if you have the request that goes to the LLM, you get the response from the LLM, you can simply take that request and that response, dump it into a database system that basically you can run on a Raspberry Pi. Right, you're gonna run a Raspberry Pi on this and you ain't gonna get no coil whine because it's not got no coils. But basically, you can put that into that caching system, and the next time somebody asks a question, it will simply pull the value from the database instead of going all the way to the LLM. And so that's one of the things to be thinking about when you start designing these AI systems, right? There is much more to artificial intelligence than these models. Models are great, models are fine, but there's more. Right? And so that's one of the things with NVIDIA, they're taking a look at it, and basically they're looking at how can they build the other hardware resources to give optimal performance for all of these different AI tasks. And this is going to be important for them going in the future as Huawei starts selling their AI stack to the wider world, as the other Chinese companies start selling their stack to the rest of the world. Basically, one of the things that NVIDIA wants to do is say, look, here is our stack. You you can just buy our stack and everything is going to work well, out the gate. You don't have to worry about, wonky little product. You don't have to worry that, oh, this GPU, you bought this $40,000 GPU, but you're using an AMD CPU, and maybe there's some weird compatibility issues. Or Intel. Intel does whatever the hell it is, Intel does every once in a while. And all of a sudden, your $200,000 server, is giving you 5 tokens per second. Because the BIOS and or whatever the UEFI or whatever and the Intel thing isn't working properly, right? So they're focused on trying to build those CPUs, and so it's interesting here to take a look at it that they do think that they will be able to sell this stuff to China. At least they'll be able to try to sell it to China. Well, whether or not China will buy it, that'll be a question. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said on Saturday that his forecast for a $200 billion market for CPUs includes China, signaling NVIDIA still sees significant long-term demand in the market amid ongoing U.S.-China technology tensions. Huang on Wednesday aimed to assure investors that the world's most valuable company can keep up its blockbuster growth with the help of a broad base of customers, and that new products will help it beat the $1 trillion in sales it has forecast for its flagship AI chips. During an earnings call on Wednesday, Huang said NVIDIA's new Vera central processors give it access to a $200 billion market. Speaking to reporters upon arrival in Taipei on Saturday and asked if that forecast included China, he said, "I would think so." Wow. There's no more confident words out of a CEO than, yeah, I would imagine, I think, hopefully. Is Trump smiling today? Is Trump smiling today or frowning today? So anyways, it looks like they're going to have these CPUs and they're going to try to sell them into China. I think the curious thing to be thinking about with all of this is, where does NVIDIA go from here? So I'm not saying that the GPU market is entirely saturated at this point in time, but if it's not saturated now, it's going to get saturated, right? Not only is NVIDIA producing so many GPUs, or really TSMC is producing the GPUs, but you have all of these other companies, right? You have Google creating their TPUs. You have Microsoft. Microsoft actually has their own AI chips. All these companies are producing all of their AI chips. And so one of the things with NVIDIA that they have to be concerned about is, one, what happens when they take their total addressable market, right? There's this whole, the big thing for startups is they always imagine a total addressable market. And they're like, it's so big. What if we can only get 1% of it, right? You listen to Shark Tank, and that's what all the startups will be saying. If we get 1% of the total addressable market of the entire world. Well, one of the problems you run into with your NVIDIA is, what if you actually take the total addressable market? What happens if you're 99% of the total addressable market? Because remember, for investors, right? NVIDIA, I haven't looked at the stock price today. Let's just say NVIDIA is at $5 trillion. If investors buy NVIDIA today at a $5 trillion market cap, they don't want it to be a $5 trillion market cap a year from now, right? A year from now, they really want it to be a $10 trillion market cap, but that's its own insanity. They want to see growth. So one of the problems that NVIDIA has, NVIDIA will actually be running literally into the problem of its own success. It literally has conquered its total addressable market. It can't go any further, basically because of US sanctions, right? And there's going to be more and more competitors that are going to start eating into it. Kind of like with Tesla, right? Tesla owned the total addressable market for electric vehicles for a long time. And now there's more and more competitors. You got BYD, you got all this kind of stuff coming down the pipe, right? That's basically the same issue that Jensen Huang is running into with NVIDIA. So with Tesla, they decided to start building humanoid robots, right? That's their way out of this whole disaster. With Jensen Huang, basically looking at building this other type of computer equipment, looking at building CPUs. And so one of the interesting things for NVIDIA in the future is, what NVIDIA will look like as a company a year from now or 5 years from now is not what it looks like today. So what are they going to start doing with all of that excess cash, right? We see this with Apple, right? Apple, created Apple Music. They had all this excess cash. They created Apple Music. They created Apple TV. They started creating these other products and services that aren't quite so focused on the hardware that you think of when you think of Apple. When you actually look at the revenue of Apple, a huge amount of their revenue now in 2026 comes from services. Like, you don't think of Apple as a services company, right? You think of Google as a services company, or maybe like Meta as a services company, that type of thing. You don't really think of Apple as a services company, but all of those little, Apple Music subscriptions and iCloud subscriptions and all that crap, at scale turns into crap ton of money. And so one of the curious things for NVIDIA will be, what do they do? They are the most valuable company in the world. They're a $5 trillion company, but they're a pretty niche company. Again, they're basically GPUs. So the question is how do they break out of that niche? And that will be an interesting thing to see going into the future. And then again, with the government officials not understanding a damn thing about technology, how that will affect NVIDIA going into the future, right? If Apple tries to sell things into China, right? Apple's not an AI company, right? Who cares? Sell them all the M5 MacBooks you want, Apple, right? Because they're not an AI company, right? If Dell wants to sell into China, they're not really an AI company. If any of these other companies wants to sell into China, right? The government might not think twice about it. But in NVIDIA now has been labeled with, this vital national security, mark. And so one of the interesting questions is what happens if NVIDIA basically just kind of tries to sell the same crap every other company is trying to sell into China, simply because it has that NVIDIA label on it? Will they run into problems from everybody? Will they run into problems from the Trump administration? Will they run into problems from Xi? The whole nine. That's kind of one of the interesting things with NVIDIA and where they wound up. I think about this with way back when I was in college. I took this class on myth and modern mythology. Anyway, what was it? Theseus? I think it was Theseus. We were reading this modern retelling of Theseus. It's now 30 years old, not so modern anymore. But anyways, I think it was like Theseus. Anyway, this is one of these Greek things that were being retold. Anyways, at the beginning of the story, there's all of these. There's like these wise men. There's these wise men, and they're very sad and they're very depressed. And whatever kind, it was Greece or Athens or whoever, whatever. Anyways, the country was actually in its golden age. The country had just won all of its wars. The country was financially better than ever. The country was actually doing amazingly well, right? But these old wise men were lamenting the future. And so our professor was asking, he was like, why do you think these old, if this is, they'd beaten all of their enemies, they're financially very successful, everything was going well, why do you think these old wise men were lamenting the future of their country? And they're like, I don't know, that sounds kind of fucked up. They're old people. Old people always bitch. Yeah, right. Like, no, because the reason is when you're on top, there's only one way to go. So that's the thing, is when you're halfway up the mountain, now you might go down there, things might go badly, you might go downhill, but you can still see the top of the mountain, so you can focus on where you want to go. The problem is once you get to the top of the mountain, the 360-degree view, that's only down. So that might be one of the issues that NVIDIA runs into at this point, that they have been so successful that they have no other option than failure. Anyways, something to think about. What do you think about NVIDIA GPUs? Would you buy it, or CPUs? Would you buy an NVIDIA CPU? I don't know. It's like, Eli, I can't afford food. I can't afford food. Eli does all these videos talking about hundreds of thousands of people being laid off, and then asks us if we'd buy a $3,000 CPU. I don't know. Maybe your business out behind the 7-Eleven's been doing well. I don't know. Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes and you want them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, link is in the doobly-doo. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, the link is down there too. With that, see y'all later.